What's up, guys? Welcome back. It's Sunday, so the date today is what's the date today? The 11th of July. So I figured I'd go live and see how everybody's hanging in there, see what everybody's working on, kind of explain where I'm at, what's going on currently, the projects I'm working on. And just kind of make sure everybody's hanging in there. I know some people on my channel are not, don't have a handyman business, but I think the ones that are live with me are the ones that have a business. So I just want to kind of see where you guys are at, what area you live in, how your projects are going. Are you busy, not busy? Where I'm at here in Illinois, this is like crazy time. I mean, I can keep up okay, but the calls and the the messages and the emails, I keep up with it all pretty well. But man, I mean, the biggest problem I would say is is customer expectations on when they want to get something done. I try to tell a lot of my repeat customers, like I tell them when the winter is over. If there's something you think you might want to do for the spring or summer, start looking into it now, or we can walk through it together now, or make a list now, because once the season starts, I'm going to be so busy. And, with what I do and the way my business is set up, I do small projects, but then I do bigger projects. So I guess the only problem with that is it's hard to keep up with the little things when you're working on something big. For instance, right now I'm working on a good sized deck, and there's been some issues with the frame where I saved the frame, and I'm trying to fix the frame in places. So it's just, I don't want to say it's a nightmare, but it's just an ongoing thing that's taking longer than it should. So, when somebody calls me, this is a first time customer with this deck, but I have another customer that I've had for a long time. They called me and they're like, "Oh, our smoke detector is beeping. We don't know what to do. We tried to change the battery. That didn't work." So I said, "Okay, I'll come and take a look at it." But something so small like that, I can't come off of the job site building a deck when I'm expected to be there and work on it to go do that. So I did that yesterday, which was Saturday. And I worked for like a half a day just pounding out these little things. But I would say it's not, for me anyways, it's not the work. It's not the emails, the phone calls, the text messages. I try not to text because I get too confused and too many numbers to try to save. So I try not to text. But yeah, it's I can keep up with all that just fine, but it's the expectations of customers, or what their expectation of you is as a business owner and coming to do a project for their house. You have to you got to be upfront with them, because it's the middle of the season. So we're talking July 11th, like I said today. So, I mean, I'm getting people that are calling me and they're like, "I want all the decking replaced on my deck. I want all the railing replaced, or I need just the decking surface replaced." And, I always ask the same questions to pre-screen customers to see if we're a good fit or not, meaning me as a business owner and them as a customer. Is this the type of customer that I want to work for? And am I the type of person that they want me working on their house? And, I mean, in the last month, everybody has said as soon as possible, as soon as possible, as soon as possible. And that's where you need to just be upfront. Don't make some kind of commitment that you can't commit to, because if you do that and you don't hold to it, that's when you're going to start to piss people off, and you don't want to do that. So I just flat out tell everybody, "Hey, I'm booked out this far." And some people are okay with it. Some people are like, "I'm not waiting that long." I had a lady that, and actually I had a customer that I painted their house, and then I painted it was an in-laws house that I painted, and then I painted theirs first, husband and wife. And then I got a referral from the mother-in-law's sister, who has a small house, but their mother is moving into it. So she's like, can you come? Can you give me an estimate, this and that? Yeah. I said, yeah, sure, I can do that. And then when I got down to it, then when I talked about the time frame, they just said, we're not going to have you do it because we know that you're busy, blah, 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 blah. And they said that they were going to call a full-time painting service to do the project. Am I upset that I lost the work? I guess so, yeah, because, you want to get as much business as you can. But in the same sense, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm only one person and I can only do so much. So if I can't do it or I can't do it within their time frame, because they're like, well, we don't want to put the burden on her of you coming in when everything is already in the house and she's there and we wanted to get this done. And they had like a couple weeks, and I'm like, well, I can't do anything about that. I can't commit to that. So that has been the biggest battle this season, is everybody's just expectation. I mean, God, like I said, it's just everybody wants it done yesterday. And I'm not sure why. I do have plenty of customers too that are willing to wait for me to do things too, but that has been the biggest hurdle to get over. And the ones that don't want to wait, I just say, okay, good luck. I hope you find somebody. And then if you don't, and it doesn't work out, feel free to contact me. We'll try to set something up. But that's why I try to tell people, plan the stuff now, because like I said, once the season gets warmed up like it is now, everybody is just like a frenzy. People are just going crazy. I mean, the second that the weather breaks and the snow is melted, the cold goes away. I mean, people are like, I want this. I mean, they go nuts. I have another really good customer. I've had them since the day, pretty much the first year I was in business. And it's weird because like I'll hear from them and then I don't hear from them from like 3 or 4 months. I'm like, oh God, they were such a good customer. How did I, what did I do wrong to lose them as a customer? And then all of a sudden they'll email me and be like, hey, I had just that happen. They wanted like 4 or 5 different things done. They're like, we want to get this done. But he emailed me at the end of June. And he's like, hey, when can we get this scheduled? And I'm like, look, I'm super busy, so I'll get to it as soon as possible. But, I do have some other things going on. And I always say, I wish you would have contacted me earlier in the season, like I had mentioned, because what I normally do is I send like a mass email out to repeat customers that are like, hey, if you think, and like I said, then I won't hear from like for 3 months. And they're like, oh, we want to get this. And then I get it. Everybody's busy. Everybody has their own life they're living and stuff. But, I can't commit and be like, if they contact me in January or February, like, hey, we want to get this. Oh, let's get it on the schedule. Let's do it now. And we'll be done and over with, let's just say in May or when the weather warms up enough. They had some outside painting. They wanted to do a few other things. But, when you're contacting me at the end of June and they're like, oh, we want to get this done, it makes it harder. But as far as me trying to stay efficient and organized, I think the biggest thing for me is, when it's like it is summertime now here in Illinois and, the temperature, well, today it was 67 degrees outside. So today's like a beautiful day out and it's not hot, but when it's hot and it's 85 degrees outside, you've been working all day. If you've been working outside, everybody does it. You just throwing everything in your trailer, your truck, your van, and you just want to get out of there. But I always make it a point now, since I am so busy this time of year, I always take at least a half hour, if not an hour, of my day when I get home to get everything organized to reset for the next day, especially if it's a little project, not that big of a deal. But when I'm building this deck that I'm doing, it's like you're constantly using so many tools in one day. You're using drills, you're using impact, you're using sawzalls, you're using circular saws, you're using, you're using your miter saw, you're using, different bits because you've got to take screws off that people put in, and it's got a Phillips bit, and then it has a Torx bit, and so you're just using all kinds of tools during the day. So for me, I don't want to throw all that in my trailer, be like, yeah, forget it. I'll deal with it in the morning, because me personally, I'm already behind when that's going on in the morning. So I don't want to do that. So I always make it a point. I come home, you're throwing out garbage. That's another big thing, because you're just throwing out garbage out. And then you get home and it's a complete disaster. So I always make it a point to, at least when I come home, for a half hour, an hour, when it's busy like it is, and just reset, open up the trailer, get somewhat organized, know what I'm going to be using for the next day, and then just have it, somewhat where its home is. And that works for me. I've seen people's stuff that's like crazy. Like I've seen pictures of people's trailers and stuff. I'm like, dude, how do you guys even operate like that? But some people, I guess they just operate in chaos and they do a good job, and they still know where everything is, and they know, where what they're grabbing and when they're grabbing it. And even if it's in a big mess, they know exactly where it is. But me, I just like to be a little more organized and efficient. So that way the next morning comes around and you're not already starting like you're behind, because, you're, at least me, when I do that and then I look in the tray, I'm like, oh my God, why did I do that? Why didn't I just take the extra half hour, an hour to clean it up? So I make sure that it's like that. So when I get up in the next morning, the trailer, boom, I just pull out of my garage, and then I go back to the job site or to the next job, and everything is organized and I don't have to worry about. Versus me, I just feel like I'm starting off on the wrong foot in the morning if there's something that's not organized or not where it needs to be. Batteries aren't charged. That's another big one. So when I worked on this deck, on what day was that? Was that Friday? No, Thursday. I used a bunch of batteries, so everything was needing to be charged. So that's what I do between organizing that. I come home, I put all the batteries on the charger, I let them charge, and then before I go to sleep, I take all the batteries off the chargers, and then I put them back in my trailer so they're ready for the next morning. Western North Carolina, hey, what's going on? So that's just one thing I do to stay efficient and organized, and it works for me. So that's what I do. If it's something small, if it's something that you're going to only use your tool bag, you don't need to get too crazy, because, your tool bag's there, tools are all in it. But when you're getting bigger projects, you're running and gunning and you're just all over the place. So you try to keep things organized. And another way that I stay efficient, not only with the way I just, reset at the end of the day and stay organized, but is I try to get into routine and do the same thing like every morning, or have everything ready the same way every morning when I'm grabbing my lunch, my water, everything else that I'm going to need for the day. Because it just, it's so easy to start off on the wrong foot in the morning, and it just seems to compile as the day wears on. And I try to just do this. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't always do this, but I just try to do the same thing every morning to start my day out the same way. And I feel like when I do that, I'm more organized, I'm set for the day, and I'm going to be efficient when I need to be. Now, don't get me wrong, when it's wintertime and it's fall time, it's a little bit slower, it's definitely still a big deal. But there's not the pressure and the stress of, okay, I'm doing this job today. I've got to get this done today because I'm going to start this next one tomorrow, and then I'm going to start the next one right after that. So, it's definitely can be stressful, and it sometimes it is. And I have found one thing I try to tell myself a lot is when I get a little stressed out or I get a little rushed, or I'm like, I didn't get this done, and I thought it would only take me a day. Now it's going to take me a day and a half. So that put me a half day behind. Is to just realize that if you find the right customers and the right people that want to hire you, they're going to wait. They're not going to go find somebody else. They're not going to say he's not going to get it done in time. They will wait. Now, don't get me wrong. You need to communicate, be upfront with them. If it takes longer than what you thought, hey, it's going to take me about another half a day. I thought, I'd be done today, but I'm not. So, hey, I'll be back tomorrow or the next day or whatever it is. But people will wait. And the other thing, too, is, I do rush around. Don't get me wrong. I'm moving all over the place. You're going on estimates. You're doing work. You're doing this. You're doing that. You're using this. You're using that. That's just the way it is. But another thing, too, that I try to do with being efficient, if it takes me longer than what I think it's going to do, and I'm like, I wish I should have got it done, I just say to myself, the work's not going anywhere. The work's going to be there. So, if you're running a little behind. And like I said, you're finding the right customers. They want you to work on their home. The work is going to be there. The work's not going anywhere. So what's the point of rushing? You can only do, and that's the other huge thing too, is you can only do so much in one day. There's only so many hours in the day. And there's only so much you can do. And that's the thing, as life goes on, you look back and you're like, what's the one thing you wish you could have had more of? And almost everybody says time, because there's only so many hours in the day. But, that goes back to planning and organizing too. If you are doing a job and it's going to take longer than what you thought, well, you got to be upfront. You got to tell the customer the job that you're doing, and you got to tell whatever the next job is. They're like, hey, this is what's going on, and it's going to take me a little longer. But, my attitude too is that, the work's not going anywhere. They're not, at least with me, the way I feel is the people that hire me and find me that want me to work for them, they're not going to go find somebody else because of me taking a little bit longer than I thought. I think if people see you rushing around, it's like you're not giving them the time and the attention that their house, deserves, especially because, these people are using their hard-earned money to pay you to do something. Now, like I said, don't get me wrong, I rush around too, but that's when you make mistakes also too, when you're rushing around. But, so you rush around some, but you got to make it feel like you're taking your time. You're going to do it right. Explain that to them. And this might take me a little longer, and this is why, because you want to, let your customers know that you care about their home. So, this time of year, like I said, it's just crazy. It's crazy between the phone calls and emails and everything. I like to get everybody else's insight on how they do it all, how they handle it all. Now, I know there's a lot of people, handyman, that I follow, a couple of Facebook pages that I'm on, where some guys, they've got 5, 6, 7 employees, and they're like, well, I got one person that answers the phone, then I got one person that does this and one person that does that. And I don't have that. It's just me. Don't get me wrong. I have my wife that helps me out a lot when I need her to. She does a lot of little things that makes it easier on me, like, like with receipts and like rebates and stuff. Like, I just give that all to her. She deals with all that. So that keeps that little bit of extra work off of me. But as far as like the estimates and everything, I do it all. But I will say, though, after 5 years, I've gotten good at not having to go to everybody's house to give an estimate. Very rarely do I do that now. If it's a bigger project, by all means, I do. This deck that I'm working on, I went and looked at it first because I knew it was a bigger project. And I looked at it the best that I could. But, when you get involved in something like that, where you're like, well, we're going to, and it goes off people's budget too, but they're like, well, this is how much we have to spend. I'm like, okay, well, the frame is in pretty good shape, so we should be able to save the frame. But then you tear all the decking off, and you're like, oh God, like, who did this frame, and how the heck did they do this? And so that's where I'm at, because now I'm spending a lot of extra time trying to correct the frame to get it to where it needs to be, versus just I probably was my mistake, but after looking at it and doing this and doing that to try to get it right, I should have just took it all off and just start over, and I could have been a lot further ahead than what I am. But then again, you know what? If the customer's budget doesn't fit in there, you gotta tell them that. You gotta disclose to them, this is what's going on with your frame. This is what I'm going to do to make it better. And some people just don't have that money. So we're doing the best we can. We'll get it right. It's just a matter of taking your time to do it the right way, because something like that, if you don't, it's just you're going to have a lot of problems. So you want to get the frame and the substructure right, because when you go to put the decking on, the railings and everything, from what I've learned, if you don't get that right, you got a lot more problems on your hand. But the other thing I want to say too is I also too, what I did now was I have it's the way I operate. For people who have never watched a live video of mine, but I'm sure if you've seen the video I have, but I operate with a truck and a trailer, and I just took my truck and put a truck cap on there, which has been great, because it's made me be able to put some things in there that can get wet. And that's another reason why I'm behind, because the rain has been crazy here. It's just been nuts. And it's like, I am so sick and tired of working in the rain and being soaking wet. It's just terrible. This deck that I've been working on, this is why another reason why it's taking longer, because it's like, all right, you check the radar. All right, I got like 4 hours of work that I could do. And I'm out there for 4 hours, and literally then it's just like, okay, well, you got to be done for the day, because then now it's just pouring. You can't cut lumber, use your equipment, use your saws when it's pouring down rain. So I did that one day. And then another day it was just like pissing would stop. Rain, stop. And I was just soaked. And I'm like, I'm so sick and tired of the rain. It's getting better now, but see, that puts me behind because it's just taking longer than what it should. So, Bart says, I'm solo and the scheduling is overwhelming, booking into September now, but trying to nail down dates that far out is difficult. Any helpful tool? So, I will say I kind of run into the same issue because, you don't know where you're going to be. Let's say it's July, so August, September. You don't know where you're going to be 2 months from now. I guess the thing what I've tried to do is if it's something bigger, like let's just say that I find another customer that wants to build another deck. And they're like, well, we want to get it done. And if, like you're saying, let's just use your example, I'm booked to September. So, okay, I'm booked through September. So, well, the deck is going to take me about this long. So let's just block out this third week of September and use that as this is when I'm going to do your deck, or start it, or the first 2 weeks, whatever, too. That's another thing. If you think it's going to take longer, you're not sure, go with your gut. Just add on that extra time. And if you get it done sooner, great. That means you can move on to the other projects sooner. But another thing too that I did that helped me was I listed out every customer, their name, and just on a little booklet that I write on. And what helped me was it made me feel like I was getting small wins every time. Was I would write out their name, the city that they were in, and the job they had, and then the week I had it blocked out for, or the day if it's just a day job. And then as I completed it, boom, I would cross it out, and it felt like, okay, I got a little win. I'm making some progress. We're getting down the line on the projects. And I mean, one page, I must have had 10 or 12 different projects going on. And I wanted to try to get all these done before I started this deck that I'm working on, because I wanted to be able to take my attention and focus it solely on this deck. And for the most part, it worked. But then, like I said, I got a regular customer who had a smoke detector problem. And I was out of town, actually, because I went away for the 4th of July. And they emailed me, and I'm like, hey, can you guys just take it down? And then I'll take care of it when I get back. And they're an older couple. They were able to take it down, but they waited for me. And like I said, yesterday was Saturday, so I pounded out those couple little things on Saturday, 3 hours. I still made some cash, and it worked. So I guess that's what I would do. That's what I do is, write it down, each job, and block out the time. I don't know how many years you've been, solo. Tell me how many years you've been. I can maybe try to help you a little bit more. No, I've been doing it for 5 years, so I don't have all the answers for everything. It's just I find what works for me, and it can be hard when you're just starting out or you're new to try to schedule everything, because you don't want to mess up, But here's the reality of it, guys. I don't care what you see on YouTube. I don't care what you see on Instagram. I don't care what you see on Facebook. You only see the good. You never see the bad. It's very, very rarely that you see the bad of what goes on the job site. And trust me, it happens all the time. I don't care what anybody tells you. Everybody makes mistakes. It happens. Work through it. It'll get better. Get easier. Oh, Southwest Wisconsin. What town in Wisconsin? Because that's not too southwest. That's not too far from me. Somebody says, I scheduled 2 weeks out. Past that, I keep a list. As they get close to the 2 weeks out, I give them a date. There you go. So keep a list. And when it's getting close to that date, let them know. If you can't commit to it and you're like, oh gosh, well, I'm a week behind or I'm 2 weeks behind. And, like they just said, if you're 2 weeks out, let them know, hey, you know what? I'm falling I fell a little bit behind because of the weather, or this job or that job took longer. So we're going to be closer to like 3 weeks. And like I said, if you found the right customer and you sold yourself enough, they're going to wait for you. They're going to. But if they're just like, I want to get it done as fast as possible, I want the best price possible, I want it cheap as possible, for me personally, that my business, then they're not the right customer for me. So think about it that way. If you do good work and you do what you say you're going to do, you show up on time, you build your trust with them, they're going to wait for you, whether it's a week or whether it's a month, whether it's 3 months. These customers are going to wait for you because they want you. And it has nothing to do with the actual work, what the job is, whether it's replacing a smoke detector, whether it's installing new trim in their house. They're going to wait for you because they want you to do it. That's the way I see it. Oh, yeah, 1 year business took off very fast. But that can happen too. And that's lacrosse. Hey, I literally was just up there. That's where I go. It's crazy. That's where I go. I take an annual trip with a couple of good friends. They have kids now. We have kids now. We go up to a town about an hour north of La Crosse, so not too far from there, just past Winona. I'm in Tennessee. I have 4 employees. We are currently booking 3 to 4 weeks out. I give the expectation of time frame and contact them 1 to 2 weeks before and give them more exact start and finish date. These are all good tips. That's a great thing to do. Like I said, I don't know how else to put it, guys. That's just how I've been operating. It works for me. If these customers want you to do the job, they're going to wait for you. You know, if they want to find somebody else, and you know, this person that said the business took off very fast, if they don't want to wait, don't take it personal. If they don't want to wait, they can't wait for whatever reason, then you gotta let them go. Because guess what? You're going to be getting that next call, that next email, that next contact form filled out, and the work is going to be there. As long as you're established, you're doing what you say you're going to do, and you've built trust with people, it's not going away. It's going to be there. You're going to get the next job. You'll find the people that want to wait for you. And it's not necessarily just the customers. It's just the society we live in. I mean, think about it. People, I've done it too. You order something off Amazon. If the thing's not here in 2 days, you're freaking out. You're like, oh my God, it's not here in 2 days. Yeah. Well, think about it as a customer. They're doing the same thing. Everybody wants everything yesterday. No matter what it is, they wanted it yesterday. You know, if people say, oh, well, the power's out in my house and it's not going to be turned on for the next 8 hours because there's a bad storm. Oh my God, I can't believe it. What? Turn it on now. That's the reality of it. People want everything now, yesterday. And that's just a matter of you communicating that to them, and the expectations they have for you and the expectations you have for them on what the project is, what they expect out of you. You know, if they're like, well, we want you to build us a deck and we want it done in 2 days, that's not realistic. That's where you got to communicate with them and explain to them, hey, here's the reality of it. Here's how long I think it's going to take. And here's what the project entails. Because, you know, I keep using a deck as an example because I'm doing it. And I know the process is a big process. And two of my buddies own their own decking business, and that's all they do. And man, I mean, I don't do just decks. I do a lot of other stuff, but how they keep up with things sometimes, I don't know, because it's crazy. You know, it's a big process from start to finish by the time you meet with the customer and go over what they want to do and the color of the deck they want to choose. And then you get the permits and do all that. Now you start, if there's a deck there already, tearing it off, going to the dump. It's a big process, and most people don't understand what it takes to do something like that. And that's up to you to explain it. So it's a matter of keeping up expectations for yourself. You know, I mean, you got to be realistic with it too, though. You know, there's a lot of guys out there and they're doing jobs. And if a customer was like, I don't know what kind of example I can use, but you know, if you get some guys that are running a handyman business, but it takes them, you know, so let's say it takes them 3 days to install an interior door or 3 days to install an exterior door. Like that's not realistic. Like that's taking way too long. And that's guys that are coming and they're working for an hour or two, leaving and then coming back. And you know, that's not real. That's not realistic. So keep that in mind. And, you know, just explain to people and your customers what your jobs are going to take. And like I said, for the ones that don't want to wait, you got to let them go, because you can't lose sleep over it, because there's going to be more customers. There's going to be more people that need work done. Let me just tell you, it ain't slowing down. I can tell you that. Not in my area. It's not. I mean, I'm seeing houses going up all over the place. I mean, everywhere. And I mean, you know, obviously it's pretty much going on in the whole country. If anybody's following even, you know, AM radio news, which that's pretty much all I listen to get news. But, you know, I mean, these homes, they ain't lasting a day, 2 days on the market. I mean, it's crazy. So the work's not going to slow down. It's only going to pick up. It's only going to get busier. And I was watching something on I can't remember what it was, but it was a company that was a plumbing company. I think it was a plumbing company. And like these people were offering the world if you could start out with their company as an apprentice. I mean, they were offering I think it was like a $10,000 sign-on bonus and all paid training. And they can't find people. And it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better. People are just, the society we live in is changing. People that are in the trades, the ones that are younger, they don't want to do this kind of work. They don't want to be in the trades. They don't want to, you know, get dirty and change a toilet. They don't want to do any electrical work. They're not, because you know what they're doing? They're calling us. They're calling me. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, and don't get me wrong, I have no problem doing it. It's just some of the things that people pay me to do is just insane. But people don't want to do it. And it's like, you know what? If you don't want to do it and you want me to come do it, that's fine. Because guess what? I'm getting paid to do it. Should I use an example? Oh, I had a customer that had 2 loose screws on a set of plastic shutters on their house. And all they wanted me to do is go there and tighten the 2 screws up. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Are you? And they call me on the phone for this. I was like, you know, do you have a screwdriver? And I'm like, you know, I can't believe it. And they're less like, well, I said, okay, here's my service charge. And they said, okay, come do it. And I timed it. It was like 4 minutes from the time I got my drill out and tightened the screws to the time when I was done. And is that taking advantage of somebody? Absolutely not. To me, it's not, because they called me. They want me to fix it. They're going to pay me to do it. I didn't force their hand. I didn't call them on the phone and say, hey, let me tighten your 2 screws on your shutters. No, they called me. So think about that. It's only going to get worse, guys. So the guys that are just starting out, I've been doing it for 5 years now. It's only going to get, well, I don't want to say worse for us. It's going to get better, because we're going to get more and more business, because more and more people don't know how to work on their homes. And these people and they, you know, just the last thing was, well, most people aren't buying homes, they're renting homes. Well, where the hell is that going on at? Because you can't find a house. If you click in the area of your house that's for sale, or homes in your area that are for sale, at least in my area, almost every single one of them is under contract. If it's more than 3-4 days, it's under contract. It's crazy. So people are buying homes, you know, I mean, they're not, you know, people that are, you know, renting. It's not like, well, we're only going to get work from, you know, rental property owners because nobody's buying a house. That's not true. And the other thing too is these homes that are going up, and I just saw it over in a subdivision not too far from me where I was working. They're building these townhomes, like they're going up like crazy. They're like just, I mean, and like every one of these townhomes has that like the fiberboard trim. I mean, this you could specialize in just replacing that trim, because it's all over the place. This stuff's not going to last a year. I'm like going by there and I'm looking at them, like, man, this stuff is just, so the work is just, you're never going to run out of work, you know? And I found, you know, the people in my area too, the other people that run a handyman business are somewhat related to that. I'll see them, and I don't do any advertising on Facebook. Like I see them on Facebook all the time in this like contractor recommendations page. I just scroll through and I see people all the time. Call me. I don't do any of that, because I don't need to. And for some reason, it seems like at some point, those people are the ones that just fade off, because it's like, if you're constantly on social media, scrolling, looking for work, that's a problem. You shouldn't have to look for work. The work, once you're established, Don't get me wrong. You're going to always be looking for work, but once you're established, the work should be coming to you. It should be easier. More people should be contacting you to get things done. And I see people there all the time. I see homeowners and DIY people on like neighborhood pages and stuff, because I'm on a few of those where I live, and then my old house that I owned. They're like, oh, does anybody know any handyman in the area that can do this and this? And I don't even comment, because there's always a homeowner on there that's like, oh, it's really easy. You can do it. And it's like, if it was that easy, they wouldn't be asking for a handyman. And, some people just they don't understand that. They think everything is so easy, and it's not. The customer's house that I replaced, or that I put the screws in the shutters, I did that for 5 minutes, and he gave me a work that was a full day's worth of work, or a little less than a full day. So that he has like I don't know what they did there, but they put the brick paver patio in, and then they just left it. Well, he's got old aluminum siding, so I'm like, man, there's going to be no way you're going to be able to match that siding, because you're not going to be able to find it. And I said, the best that I can do is put like a nice piece of like LP trim on the bottom, because he had about like 11 inches from where the siding stopped to where the patio pavers kind of came down. So I said, I can put a nice piece of trim going from one side to the other, and then make it look like it belongs there. And this way you can, if he talked about having the aluminum siding painted, I'm like, I don't know if I would do that, but if you find the right painter, I guess it would hold, I guess. But anyways, I told him that's what I could do. So that's what I did. But I got it all set up and everything. And I had one piece like of siding. There was no siding there. So I had to take off a piece where I removed it, and then repair that side, and then put flashing up underneath there and overhang it, on this piece of LP trim, so no water would get in there, and da-da-da-da. And he came outside and was like, oh my gosh, because I did not think it would be this big of a project. And I go, yeah. And I said, most homeowners think a lot of things are simple, but when you get involved in it, it's not, because like the where the trim came up to the patio pavers too, it didn't just butt up to it. The patio pavers came down in a square. Like the top step was like a rectangle almost down, and then around the perimeter of it, it was a curved block, and then came down again. So I had to try to, I mocked it up with a piece and scribed it, and then cut that with my jigsaw, then laid that on the piece of board, so it slid in there and it looked like it belonged there. And that stuff like that, homeowners aren't going to know how to do that. They don't. And that's why they're calling us. And that's why a lot of things become more involved in what people or customers think they are. And that's why you got to explain to them why it is more involved. But I'm getting a little off topic. I want to try to stay topic about being organized and efficient. And the other thing I wanted to say is, on top of just making a list too, I don't know how you guys do it, but one way that I stay more organized is I don't do almost no text messaging. I know a lot of people do that. I get it. It's 2021. Everybody's texting. Nobody wants to talk on the phone. Nobody wants to do this. Nobody wants to do that. Don't get me wrong. If it's something if somebody says I only want to communicate through text, I'll do it. But other than that, if somebody texts me, I immediately say, hey, here's my email address. Here's my website. Either send me your contact info through email, or go to my website, fill out the contact form, and then I'll get back to you, because I operate almost all of my communicating is over the phone if I need to, or through email. And that's made me stay more organized, because I know it's easier for me to scroll through and see my emails, because then I can be like, oh, what was that? And then I can click on their email address, like when you have a message and then it has their contact info. Oh, that was so-and-so. They needed this done. And I just stay a little more organized that way. But that's another way I pre-screen people too, because if people call me and I'm in the middle of a job and I'm working, I don't always stop what I'm doing and say, okay, let me take down your name, your address, your email address. I don't always do that. If I'm in the middle of a job and working, saying, hey, you know what? I apologize. I'm in the middle of a job right now. I can't talk, but can you please go to my website, fill out a contact form, and then we'll contact you back. And I have found that if people that want work done don't do that, most of the time they're not serious about getting the work done because everybody's on their phone all day long. It's just the reality of it. But my website's set up too so that if you're doing it from your phone, it's really easy to fill out the form. And it's mobile friendly, so you can fill it out and it's really easy. It takes like 30 seconds. So if people don't, want to take the time to do that, it's like, they're probably not serious about getting the work done, or they're not your ideal client. That's the way I'll put it. But so I almost do no text messaging because it's just too hard. If you're like getting involved with putting in the customer's name in your phone, you're like, okay, yeah, their name, but then you get mixed up on like, okay, well, whose address was this? What did they need done again? And then you're like, refresh my memory. So I try to avoid it because this way, at least if it's an email, I got their name, their address, their all their contact info, and then what the job was. I just say, give me a brief description of what we talked about over the phone, or what you need done. And I have that on my website too. But some people don't always use my website either, though. I get emails and they're just from somebody that just must have found my email through maybe Facebook or something, or maybe through Google probably, and did it. So that's another way I stay organized, or at least try to. When it slows down, it's not as hard. But now, like one person here said they were booked up to September. So that it's just hard to stay organized. But that's one way that I do it. And the other thing too is estimates. That's what I want to bring up. Another way to stay efficient as possible is if I got an estimate to do, I do it in one day. I can't sit here, at the end of the day when I've been working for 8 hours and be like, oh God, now I can't. I packed up my trailer. I'm not going home. Now I got to go on another estimate. Your brain isn't in the right spot. You're already, wanting to just get home. You're going to rush through the estimate. You're just not going to be the right frame of mind. At least me, I'm not going to be. If I'm there doing a job, I'm there to do the job. When I'm done, I'm going home. So I do all my estimates in one day. I try to. Don't get me wrong. I try to accommodate customers too, but for the most part, I do it all in one day. And I say it all the time too. If people can't meet with the time that you give them, like, hey, I have this day or this day or this day available. And time, they're like, no, that won't work. I've said it to other people. Don't let customers run your business. It's your business. You run it the way you want to. If you're somebody like, who was it that said it? Oh, like Bart, you're booked to September. If these people can't work within your time frame to give them an estimate, then don't work for them, because you're going to be running around all over the place. It's going to get even more hectic because you can't let somebody run your business. It's your business. You run it the way you want so that you stay organized, efficient, and profitable. I don't know how else to put it. But if these are the times I have available on that day, hey, here's what it is. This is what I have available. And if they don't want to take it and they can't do it and they can't move their schedule around, then they can't. That's, you have to stay efficient and do the best you can, but you can't accommodate everybody. You won't be able to. So like I said, I do estimates all in one day, and my mind frame is in the right place because I'm not like, okay, gosh, I got to go over here and finish this job, or I got to go over here and start this job, or I got to get this, and I got all these punch lists. You just know you're doing nothing but driving around in the car, going from place to place to place, and just giving estimates, writing everything down, taking pictures, looking at it, versus, you're going to try to go to a job and work a half a day and then do an estimate, or you're working at a job, you're going to take lunch, do an estimate, and then go back to, it's just, you're getting too crazy when you're doing that. At least me. If it works for you and that's the way you're doing it, do it. Tommy says, we use Trello to keep up with all jobs and estimates. We use QuickBooks Online for invoicing, estimates, and payroll. I've never heard of Trello. What I use same thing. I use QuickBooks Online. It's worked out well for me, and that's why I use it. I do it for invoicing, estimates, payroll. I don't really have a payroll other than paying myself from the business a wage. But the invoicing and estimates. I use that all on QuickBooks. And at the end of the year, I hit print. It prints everything that I need for my taxes, and my tax guy has it all. And every year since I've done it, he's never asked for anything else. He's never been like, I'm missing this or I'm missing that. I keep it all pretty organized, and it's very easy to keep organized in there. It's easy to keep organized with your customers. It's hard to explain. Actually, you know what? Actually, I probably should do a YouTube video of going over using QuickBooks Online, and this is what I use. And it might work out for some of you guys. I like the fact it's got a little bit of a learning curve though when you get started, but I like the fact that it's all in one place. So it's not like, well, I use an app for invoicing and I use an app for estimate. And like I said, it just goes back to the bounce it around thing that I try not to do. So I use that and it works. I like it. The estimates are very professional. You can put your logo in there. It lists every estimate by number. There's a place to sign. If you do signatures on there, there's a place to put a message in there for as far as like your contract terms, which I always have in there. So it's good for that. It's good for end of the year for tax purposes. And then when you're also, it'll have like a tab in there for just estimates, and it'll say, and then you can click on it, and then it'll have however many customers you have that have open estimates. And like there's tabs for pending, or you can hit if like the customer's like, yep, I want you to do it. You can hit accepted and it'll stay in that estimate tab. It's easy to do invoices, receipts. If it's a quick repair and you didn't give them a full estimate, you can send them a receipt. And they have an app for your phone. I will say though, the app for the phone is kind of outdated. I don't like it. I think they need more features on there because the app, some things that I do from my computer, I can't do on the app. And sometimes I don't want, if I'm on the job site, I don't bring my laptop with me. I usually just have my phone. So I have found that it's just a little harder to do things through the app. And it's not as easy, user-friendly as it is when you're on your computer. But it works for me. So that's why I've been using all this time. And that's the other thing too. So people, that's another thing. Another way to stay efficient too and organized is my receipts. That's a big one because your receipts get out of hand, Home Depot and Lowe's and Menards, they all have it where if you have your card, like whatever card you're using to buy the stuff and you have an account with them, it kind of logs your orders and everything. It all does it a little bit differently, but you can get most of the receipts off of that. But some things like getting fuel or Sherwin-Williams prints out a receipt. So what I do with the receipts, because that can get out of hand, man. The receipts, if you don't keep up with it, that can get really bad. I just have one of those like just like those plastic foldable things that have all the slots in there. And then every month I take the receipts at the end of the month and I just have them organized by date and I just drop them in there. So January, February, March, April, May, June, and I just drop them in there, and then I know where they're at. They're labeled, and then if I got to go back, like, I got to get this returned before it's too late, I just go in there. I know that I had it for this month. I pull it out, take it to the store, and return it because the receipts can get out like crazy out of hand. I think the first year I just threw them all in a plastic container, and my wife she wasn't happy because she's more organized than me, and the receipts were just like all over the place. So that's another little tip to stay organized and efficient with the receipts. Also, too, because, I don't know if any of you guys take advantage of the rebates, but Menards has had their 11% going on now for probably like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I mean, it's just been going on forever. Now I get it. They're kind of scamming you because they raise the prices and it's not what the normal price should be and blah, 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 whatever. Okay. If I got to get materials there, 11% off, get a rebate check back. Fine. And that's one thing my wife does because I don't have the time to do that. Menards is very outdated system. They make you get the card, you fill it out, you tear out the receipt, you put it in an envelope, you send it in the mail. It's like, God, get with the program. It's 2021. But Home Depot, they'll match it all. They'll match your 11% off, but they don't tell you that in the store because they don't want you to do that. See? What they do is you can go, if you have a Pro Extra account, which I do, you can go on there. You don't have to have a Home Depot credit card because I don't have that, but I just have a Pro Extra account. You can go on there as long as you have a card on file, like you use the same card every time you're in the store, it'll pop up your order, it'll pop up your receipt number, and then what you do is they have a separate link that you go to for the 11% off. It asks you the date that you purchased it, your receipt number, the total. You just can go back to the other tab of the your order, plug those numbers in, send it away, you submit it, and they send it right to you in the mail. They send you a confirmation email, and it's very, very quick. But most people, they don't take advantage of that because the Home Depot don't exactly advertise it. Now, Lowe's, though, as far as I know, Lowe's does not match the 11% off because I think their thing is I talked to the store manager that is at the one in my area, and he said that just something in regards to that the prices, they have the prices go up when the 11% off is going on. So in reality, you're paying the same price you would be paying from Lowe's versus Menards when the 11% off is going on. How much truth there is to that, I don't know. I've never investigated that far, but you know, the rebates, I mean, I guess, you know, the thing is most people don't do it. So that's why they're like, oh, come in the store and spend all this money and 11% off, because most people are not going to take the time to fill it out. But I'm religious about it. I do it. My wife fills them out, whether it's 48 cents or whether it's $48. We fill it out. So that's just another tip, another thing I use to stay efficient and organized. How else do I stay organized and efficient? I try to keep my truck clean. That's another thing too, because, you know, it just gets hectic, man. You got your lunchbox in there, water, you're covered in sawdust. And then, you know, you're like, well, my trailer's locked, so I'll throw this in my truck and I'll throw that in my truck. And, you know, for me personally, and everybody's brain works different, I just stay more in the right frame of mind when things are clean and organized. And, you know, like, I'm sure some of you guys have seen, like, they got that, what is it called? Like how to lean things out, you know? I've read a few things on that, on how to be lean. I don't remember what it stands for though. I or is it lean, or I can't remember. But I did read another thing too that says another way is that you're the most efficient on the job site in the first 3 hours that you're there. And your day is the most efficient if you're set up and working within 15 minutes of getting to the job site. So that's just what I read. I mean, how much validity there is to that, I don't know, but that's just what I read. Dean and Dunn Handyman, I've been thinking about getting QuickBooks because I am completely old school with scheduling and invoicing and quoting all written down. Hey, and you know what? I'm not knocking that, because like if I go to the store, normally I don't go to the grocery store because I can't stand it. But when I do go, I handwrite my list, man. To handwrite it, I don't use my phone. I underutilize my phone big time. And with my work, but I don't. Same thing like I was saying with my jobs, that I had them all listed on just like a tablet. Here. So I got these, you know, like one of these, and it's just, you know, blank on the inside. Nothing crazy, just a tablet like this, blank on the inside with, you know, just lines. And I used that when I was really starting to get overwhelmed for, like, you know, a few weeks. I was working every single day, and I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to stay organized? Same thing. I was writing it all down, just the customer's name, the job, where it was, like what the job consisted of, and then when I was going to do it. So don't get me wrong, I write things down too. But as far as the other stuff with the QuickBooks, the scheduling, the invoicing, the estimates, I don't use the QuickBooks for the scheduling though. I haven't tried that. The scheduling is written down. That's what I do to write things down. But the invoicing though, and the estimates, receipts, that's all done through QuickBooks. I do that all on my computer, and I write everything down for, like, if I'm going to look at an estimate, I write everything down first by hand. Like, okay, this is what we're going to need, blah, blah, blah. Then I'd go back on my computer, punch that all in, get a new estimate brought up in QuickBooks. I'm going to do a YouTube video of that so you guys can get an idea, you know, of if you like it or not, or think you might go to it. This way people got more of an idea of how it works without paying for something and not knowing if it works well or not. So you know what? I'm going to do a YouTube video of it. So just keep an eye out, because I'm going to do that. But yeah, it works pretty good. I like it. Some people don't. Dean and Dunn Handyman. Also, clean truck, very important. Got to know where your tools are. Yeah, like I said that earlier in the video. You have to. You have to. Now, like my truck right now, there's no tools in there at all. I have no tools in my truck other than a shovel, like a deck wrecker bar to pull up deck boards, and a sledgehammer, and that's it. That's inside my truck. Everything else is in my trailer. But I for whatever reason, my brain just works to where if I get into a nice clean truck, I feel like I'm starting my day out on the right foot. Don't get me wrong, it gets dirty too, but that's why I try to be like, all right, this is enough. It needs to be cleaned. I got a little like collapsible trash can I keep in there, you know, for when you're having a snack or whatever, you're eating your lunch while you're driving, or, you know, whatever the case is. I can at least throw stuff there so it's not just thrown on the floor. But that's just the way my brain works. I'm not saying some people like chaos. Some people work well in chaos. Me, I don't work so well in chaos, but I try to just be somewhat clean, and especially like Dean said, knowing where your tools are is very important. That's why I said at the end of the day, at least take a half hour, if not an hour, to just reset, unload some things. Even simple things, like I know I've got all my like cutting stuff in one tool bag. So like one tool bag, I know that has my jigsaw, my multi-tool, grinder, and sawzall. It's all in one bag. But then you know what you do? What do you do when you use something? You take the blade out, like I have one of those little cases for like sawzall blades. You take it out, you use it, then you switch the blade. What do? You just throw the blade in the bag. Then you use something else, and like, okay, now you're throwing this in there. So this happened last week. That bag had pliers in there. It had a tape measure in there, which I don't even know why that's on there, because that's always on my tool belt. It had a socket wrench in there, so I was missing the socket wrench for my set, so that's where that was. So it just happens. You're just flinging stuff around when you're leaving at the end of the day. But the way I look at it is, if you just leave it like that, now the next morning, what are you going to do? You're going to get in your trailer, and I need that socket, I need that wrench, and you're going to look in your socket set first, and it's not going to be there. And you're like, oh gosh, here we go. Now I'm looking all over the place for this and that. You know, and then I said, like, and then another tool bag. I'd have just both my cordless drills in there and my 2 impacts in there, and that's it. And I know that that's always in there. Then I have another case that has just the cordless batteries in there, so I know when I'm done with the battery, it goes in that case. And then when it's done at the end of the day, or if it's dead, I put that on the top of it, and I know that I got to pull it out, put it on my chargers, and charge it. But I will say though, the bag situation is okay, but this last week or 2 weeks ago now, roughly, the whole week of rain, I'm done with that. I'm done with the tool bags. I'm getting rid of those. It's horrible. It does not. Your stuff just gets wet. It gets soaked. I have a 10x10 tent. I didn't bring that with me, but I have one. I've got one pack out system, and I've got one rigid system, and the rigid one is set up for outside stuff. So that was at least in, and everything was in there and closed. But the other stuff, that's it. I'm done. I'm no more bags. I'm getting stuff like that. I'm probably going to get another pack out, I think, and keep the stuff in there, just so that things don't get wet. You know, when it's pouring down rain, you're trying to pack everything up. Things are going to get wet, but I don't think the bag thing is the best way to go for efficiency. So there's always room for improvement. I have a video too. My last video I did was of my trailer and the way it's currently set up too, if you want to check that out. And you'll see I'm mostly efficient, but when you're running and gunning this time of year, the last thing you want to be doing is fishing around for tools. And then you know what you do when you can't find it? If you just go buy another one. You're like, geez, I can't find it. Well, I'm not going to spend another hour looking for it. I don't know where it is. I'll just go to the store in the morning, and I'll buy another one. Then you know what you do? You use the new one, and then when you're finally like, okay, I'm going to clean out my trailer, get it reorganized, get everything back where it was, then you find the old one. You're like, got it, that was a big waste of money. Now you got 2 or 3 of the same thing, which has happened to me. I think one time, I have like one of those little scrapers that have like the little wider razor blade, and I could not find that thing for the life of me. I'm like, why is it, and you know why I couldn't find it? Because it wasn't where it always was supposed to be. That's the problem. So I normally keep it in my tool bag. It wasn't in there. I couldn't find it. So what I do, I bought another one, used it. And then after I went through, I'm like, started organizing some more things. Of course, that's where it was. It was in there. Now it's a cheap thing, but still. And I don't get me wrong. I've seen other videos of guys. It was a tile guy I saw on YouTube. It was an old video, but man, this guy had like, I'm telling you, I think every time this dude went to the store, he bought something new because this guy must have had 5 or 6 or 7 of everything. I'm like, man, this guy either he just likes having extra stuff on hand, like tools and everything, and now that I remember it now, his trailer was a wreck. And people were bashing him on YouTube. I'm like, oh my God, how do you operate like that? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, this is organized. He goes, I can operate out of this just fine. How the hell he does it, I don't know. But it was a wreck. So my only assumption was that he couldn't find it, so he just bought a new one. And this guy had like, I'm telling you, he must have had like 5 or 6 of the same thing, of everything. I'm like, holy hell. Dude, get a little more organized and get less stuff in there. But anyways, so that's just some things that I've done to stay efficient and organized as time has gone on with the season, and it's busy. I'm still busy. I'm going to be busy for the rest of the summer. I don't see it slowing down anytime soon, because I see people online too looking to get pools installed still, and it's like, it's after the 4th of July, and people wanting decks still. So who knows? Who knows what tomorrow's going to bring? I had a couple of emails to actually respond to tonight that people message me and want things done. But anyways, so I just want to jump on here, see how everybody's doing, see what's going on with everybody, how everybody's staying sane while the season is crazy. This is what I'm doing to stay somewhat organized and efficient. When I end the video, though, if you guys got anything you need to comment on or got any questions, I believe, you can. No, I don't know if you can. I'm not sure with the live thing, but I think once I go off, I'm pretty sure you can watch it and comment on the bottom. I'm not 100% sure on that, but hopefully you guys can. It's been about an hour, so I'm going to get off. But if you guys got anything you want to comment on, and it allows you to do that, comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, guys. It's really helping me out. It's slowly growing. I appreciate it. I'm going to keep pumping out the videos. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Hit the bell for notifications for future videos. And I really appreciate everybody's support. So tell all your friends that there's this guy on YouTube who's got 325 followers, I think. And I'm kicking ass, and it's only going to keep going up from here, I hope. Not like, not like some of these people that got like 300,000 followers, but slowly working on it. And you know what? If I don't get any more followers, whatever. It's fun. I like doing it and chatting like this with people, getting their insight on things and how they run their business, how I run my business. Maybe I can help you. Maybe I can't. But stay tuned for the next video, because I'm going to do that. I'm going to try and do that this week. I'll get a video out, set up the GoPro, and then trying to how am I going to do that, though, with the how am I going to do that? I don't want to give anybody's personal information away with the QuickBooks thing. I know I can do a blank estimate, but I should be able to just bounce back and forth. So I'll probably have to do some editing in there to bounce from tab to tab without giving anybody's information away. But anyways, stay tuned for that. That'll be another video. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. Everybody work hard this week, make some money, and keep living the dream.